Hey everyone, welcome back to a new video. Before I begin on the stories, I just wanted to mention, if you have your own personal scary story that you would like to send me for me to possibly narrate here on the channel, you can do so by sending it to southerncannibal.com. So if you have a personal true scary story that you'd like to share, please consider sending it my way. Now that all that's out of the way, let's begin. This only just happened in the last week or so. It isn't the most spine-chilling story, but it is very creepy. At least for me it was. My name is Cody. One day recently I had returned home from work and I had checked my Instagram, and I had 2 follow requests. My account is private, so I had to accept them. But I had noticed something. Both accounts had different names, but the same display picture. One account was private, and one was public. The public page I can see has 9 posts, but it's a new account, only following around 20 accounts. The private has 6 posts, but about 20 followers as well. I'm a pretty private person with trust issues stemming from a previous relationship, so I don't really talk to many people I don't know. But I just accept the accounts, thinking I won't talk to them anyway. About 3 days later, one account, the public one, then messages me saying hey and starts up a conversation. Me being suspicious of the account, I'm being blunt, just kind of giving one-word replies like hi, good, nothing, etc. Anyways, she asked me my age. I replied that I'm 19. And she tells me that she's 18. She asks me where I live. I tell her, and I also ask where she lives. And what do you know? She's in the same state as me, 2 hours away. Now, this seems kind of strange because I live in Tasmania, which is a small island under Australia. And she's got all these pictures on beautiful beaches with palm trees, as well as big skyscraper apartment buildings in the background. Things we don't have here, but hey, I guess they could be holiday pics. I checked her followers, and I noticed that there were people from my area, so I thought that maybe she was telling the truth. Anyway, we talked for a while about work, other interests, etc., and then all of a sudden, she suggests we send nudes. I've never done this before. I don't even like receiving nudes. Sex and nudes don't really matter to me, but I figured this would be a way to see if she's real, so I agree. She sends a full body nude with the head cropped out, but from the tattoos, I can tell it's the same person as in her pics from her account. I send some fake nudes, not of myself. Anyway, I'm telling my friend Kyle all about this, and how I really don't know if she's real or not. So he suggests that he talks to her and see what she says to him. So he messages her, and he asks her what her age is and location. Kyle lies. He tells her he's 29 and from another state. And of course, now she's 25 and from the same state. So yeah, we now know she's not telling the truth. He chats to her, and she's a lot different with him than with me. Non-sexual. In fact, she mainly just talked about religion and life goals, while at the same time she's sending me nudes. All of a sudden, she goes offline at about 10 p.m. on a Friday night without warning. But strangely, she doesn't return until 6 a.m. that Sunday morning. She messages both me and Kyle, still talking religion with Kyle, but sexual to me. Now she's asking me to meet up. I say yes, and she then sends me a list of sexual things with prices, and she tells me I need to pay her before we can meet. Not with money, but with an Amazon gift card. I agree, and I pretend I'm gonna do it, but not really though. As the day goes on, she's still begging me for the gift cards. I keep making excuses, but I tell her I'll get them. I go offline for a few hours. She then starts being sexual with Kyle and asks to be in a relationship with him. He agrees, and they also make plans to meet up. They both agree that he'll go to her. He lies and says he's in his car, and he asks where he should drive to. Now, all of a sudden, she's supposedly in her car, stuck at the petrol station, saying she was driving to him, even though she didn't even know his address or any of his real information. But she said she needed petrol but couldn't afford it, so she asked him to send her money by PayPal. She then sends him her PayPal details, which is in the name of a Hispanic female. He lies and he says he can't PayPal, so she once again asks for Amazon gift cards, but this time to pay for her petrol and to buy them some alcohol as well. Shops around here don't account gift cards as payments, so that seemed kinda weird. He starts messaging her, saying he'll get the cards, but never does. A few hours later, I reply to her, and she says she's really angry that I'm playing games. I admit that I am, and I tell her I've been suspicious of her ever since I saw the other account. She tells me that's her account, and she sends me a screenshot showing she's logged into both of the accounts that followed me. I ask her why she's even using a different name. She tells me it's her friend's account, and that the friend hadn't removed her pics. Anyway, we kind of just argue a bit until she blocks me. Meanwhile, Kyle is still playing around with her. Her story just keeps changing. One minute she's home, and then the next she's at the petrol station. She keeps calling it gas and a gasoline station, but not many people in Australia use those words, so we figure she's not even in Australia. At this time of this, we're telling another friend of ours, Jaden, all about this. He decides he too will message her as well, saying he's another age and in a different state, just to see what she says. She tells him she's 23, and he says he's 20. Then she says she's actually 18 but lied, just until she knew his actual age. And of course, she lives in the same state that he does. The discussion is similar. Life, religion, relationships. She says she's single, despite the fact that she asked out Kyle earlier. Whilst this is happening, Kyle then asks her to send a photo of where she is so he can find her. She then sends a picture of a random dark street, and it's 9 p.m., so it's dark out, but it doesn't really look like the city she told him she's in. So we decided to Google search this photo, and we find that it was actually posted on Facebook by a news site 3 years earlier. Kyle calls her out for sending a fake pic, and she then replies back with, "I'll bash your head in." He then replies back with, I'm sorry, what?" And she then has an excuse for the pic. He says he doesn't believe her, and he doesn't think she's in Australia. She starts getting angry, saying he doesn't trust her. This is when he says, "Just tell me where you really are." She replies back with, "You seem to be the master of everything. You work it out yourself." And then she tries to go back to being sexual, but Kyle's not having any of it. The next minute she says, "Do you know what I'm doing?" Kyle says what, and she then replies back with, "I'm plotting your demise." "Oh really?" Kyle says, "And how exactly are you gonna do that?" "You won't last the next 24 hours, she says. Kyle gets really angry, telling her he's been playing her the whole time, and he knows she's a scammer. Kyle then blocks her. So now we go back to Jaden, who's still talking to her. This time, however, she then suggests they go to Snapchat. He agrees, and he asks for her username. It takes her maybe about 5 minutes to reply, but gives him the user. He adds it, and what do you know? It's a blank account. No avatar, no chat score, nothing. After a few minutes, she then adds an avatar. Most people usually make that one look like themselves, right? Well, she had used a black man for her avatar. Jaden asked her about it. She denies it's a black man, and then changes it to a white female. Then she asks to swap nudes, but with live pics. Jaden agrees, and he tells her to go first. She sends a live pic, but it's the same exact pic she had sent earlier, only somehow she sent this one live. I don't know much about Snapchat, but I know you can tell the difference between an old pic and a live pic, and I really don't know how she did this, but it's the same pic. Jaden doesn't respond and just goes to bed. The next morning, he wakes up to like 6 messages from her, and literally the first few were just saying hey, but the last message was a voice recording. Jaden was getting worried about what he might hear, but he decided to just listen anyway. This recording wasn't a female, it was a man's voice. He sounded like he had an accent. This is what he said. "Oh, you like to play games? That's okay. I do too." This whole situation was weird. None of us believed it was real from the start, but I really worry that there may be other people who weren't as suspicious, who may have actually fell for this trap. I don't know who this person is. Maybe it's more than one person. I don't know how they had all these pics of the same person, but at the same time also seems so fake. By the way, we did a Google search for the pics on the account and the nudes that were sent, and we never did find any matches. There's a lot of weird things out there on the internet. This is probably the weirdest I've come across. Jaden hasn't responded or blocked the account yet, so I guess we'll see if anything else happens. Anyway, be safe out there. Always listen to your gut. If you think something isn't real, it probably isn't. Watch for red flags. Investigate their pics or friends lists as much as you can, just to ensure you don't fall for any traps. Update. Jaden responded telling her that he had fallen asleep, and once again she's acting all nice to him. I guess we'll see where this goes. We kinda wanna find out exactly what's going on and who the hell this person is. We have our suspicions, but we want as much info as possible. I mean, chances are it's just a scam, but it seems pretty elaborate for a scam. Who's the girl in the pics? How did they send a live photo of a picture that was sent hours earlier? Why did they add me on 2 separate accounts? Hell, how did they even find me with no mutual friends? I just don't know. Maybe it's someone I've come into contact with before. For some background information, I'm a female from the West Tennessee area. When I was about 13 or so, my parents trusted me to take care of a phone. I was so excited because I had not ever had video game consoles or those virtual reality headset things before. I was super pumped to finally have a phone. As soon as I was done setting up my phone at Verizon, I quickly got on the App Store and started downloading apps and games. My parents didn't really care what I downloaded, so I started downloading apps like Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, all of those apps. I really took a liking to Instagram a lot. I thought it was great how you can see what your friends were doing while on your phone. I started posting a ton on my stories and following different people. Well, about 3 years go by, and I'm in the middle of my freshman year, and I was about to go to sleep one late Tuesday night when I heard my phone buzz. I opened my eyes and checked my phone to see that I had an Instagram notification. For privacy reasons, I won't say the name of the account, but we'll just call him Tony. Tony had liked a post from like a year and a half ago. I brushed it off because I was so naive back then, and I didn't really notice the red flags immediately. It was a post of me getting a group selfie with my closest friends. I also noticed that he had commented on it as well. "Great picture. You guys looked very cute in it," he said. I kinda thought it was weird, but I didn't do any research on his account. I simply just put my phone away and went to sleep. When I woke up the next morning, I checked my phone to see that I had a DM request from Tony. I accepted it, and he then said, "Hey, I saw your post, and I just thought how beautiful your eyes were." I don't know why, but I was flattered by this. I texted him back saying thank you, and that I appreciate it a lot. He texted back right away saying you're welcome, and he asked how old I was, and I told him my age. He said that he was the same age as me, and we very quickly became friends. He said he lived in the area and that we should try and see each other sometime. I agreed because we eventually became very close friends, or so I thought, and I thought by his profile picture that he was very attractive. So anyways, we agreed to meet up at the park on the outskirts of town this upcoming Friday. I had really looked forward to it all week. The day in question was very cold and gloomy outside. He texted me saying at 10 we would meet up. At around 9:30, I then left and drove to the park. I got there exactly at 9:53 p.m. I waited in my car until I saw a pair of headlights pull into the parking lot. I texted Tony and I asked if that was him. He responded almost immediately saying yes, come over to the car. The only problem is, I kind of got a weird feeling from that reply, but I hesitantly opened the car door and walked towards his car. The driver's side door opened from his car, and I saw a huge person emerge from the small car. He beckoned me over there, and I got that feeling that something wasn't right. Then I thought I saw something move in the car as well. I slowly started walking backwards to my car. This Tony guy then says, "Hey, where are you going? I thought we were going to talk and hang out." But I said I had to go. He must have picked up on my suspicion, because he looked at his car, and then all of the doors flung open, and then like 3 other men came out of the car with long objects in their hands. They started charging in my car, so I booked into my car, turned the keys, and then floored it the fuck out of there in reverse. They got back in the car, and they started chasing me down the road. I made so many turns until I finally lost them from a county road that feeds across a dam from a lake. I drove as fast as I could back to my house, making sure I wasn't followed. Please everyone, always be sure of who you're meeting, or do not meet anyone you don't know. Do not risk it. It all started as the most beautiful fairy tale love story, all in the summer of 2019 with a Polish man. We were both living around Munich, Germany. We met via Tinder. I was 29 and he was 31. He became super close to me, and he even introduced me to his dad, who had been arrested several times. This should have been the biggest red flag. Our relationship started with a lot of love bombing, gifts, flowers, and exchanging our family members' contact details. Another red flag. We also got engaged in 6 months. Again, another red flag. He often used to talk about his dark past, how he grew up on the streets and served in a mafia gang. But when we met, he appeared as a very sophisticated, educated IT professional working at a reputable bank, so I just ignored all the red flags. He often used to talk about how he would kill the world with one switch, and his jokes were just deeply dark. He also showed interest in all these darn creepy things, which really made me wonder, but I really just ignored all that because I was deeply in love with him. We started living together. One day, he saw a message of a man in my phone, who was just my friend by the way, and he just totally lost his shit. He started hitting me, and he had pushed me hard to the floor and then started screaming at me like an animal. That was the first time I ever really saw the scary side of him. I saw his eyes. Absolute terror. I was bleeding on the floor, and he was smiling in a very evil way. I left the apartment soon after, and I never did report it to the police. The reason being because he was a very reputable social man in his city. He had several high-profile friends. I knew the police wouldn't take me seriously. That day, June 30th, 2020, I saw a devil, a pure monster in human form for the first time. My blood turned cold, and I can never forget it. I left the apartment with my clothes and belongings, and I just kept quiet until I collected all of my belongings. After 1 month, he sent me a threatening message around 3:15 a.m., via Amazon Alexa. That Alexa was actually a gift from him, and I was still using it. He sent a threatening voice message that said, "You dirty, cheating, lying Indian whore. I'm gonna make your life hell now, and this is just the beginning." I couldn't sleep the rest of the night, and I disconnected the Alexa forever. Hearing such a threatening voice message via Alexa in the middle of the night made me throw up. He continued to stalk me using fake accounts on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. It's been about 2 years since, and I'm still terrified and have major trust issues with men. Therefore, I'm still single.